Okay, and this one here, I'm gonna call this one the Wild Deuce. Because I don't know if it has anything to do with me fasting or not. Because, like, not sure what time it is right now, but it's like 7 o'clock at night or something. This is day 2 of my fast, so I'm like 3/4 of the way gone for day number 2. And, but I was thinking in a kind of grateful attitude and manner how fortunate I am for this here realization. I got to get something away from Boomer. 1 second. Well, see, Boomer, he got this thing out of the garbage that I burned. See, inside it's still got some milk. This is actually a milk carton. I took some stuff out there because my refrigerator went out. At least the refrigerator aspect, not the freezer, but the refrigerator. Well, I hadn't been drinking any milk or anything. I just want to get rid of that whole refrigerator. I had it in there frozen, so I burned it. You know, it was still milk inside, obviously, because I know what this plastic thing is. Now I'm going to put it in the trash. But that's just a side note. I had to take that away from Boomer because I don't want him to have it. I don't want him eating plastic, because one of my pups already ate a whole absorbent pad from the chicken. I don't know which one it was. I got it out of the garbage and ate it. Yeah. Animals, man. Dogs, anyway, they're rough. They're rough. But, you know, I say the Wild Deuce because that's what B.B. King, he had that on an album I seen of his with I think another singer I really like by the last name of Chapman. It's a woman. I can't remember what it is now. Amy Chapman or Terry Chapman. But she sings a lot of good songs I really like. And she's doing one with B.B. King. And on the YouTube, you know, for some reason, like, it came on, I was looking at it, and it had a picture of the deuce and in cards, the number 2 card, you know, deuce, and the king. And then I looked up the deuce, you know, because I think it said the Wild Deuce, and I like that, the Wild Deuce. See, and it's in poker. It's a it can be, you can, the Wild Deuce can be like anything, like you can make it be anything you want. You can be any kind of number. It can be any kind of matching for a pair. It's a wild card, so it can be like anything, and it's a deuce. And the deuce, see, it had special kind of recognition for me because I was just thinking about in the last book of the Old Testament, in the Hebrew canon adopted by the church, okay, I should say the Hebrew scriptures that the Catholic Church grabbed the hold of to make the antecedent for the New Testament. Well, anyway, I'm just saying, the book of Malachi, last book in the Old Testament. I hate divorce. That's what it says in the book of Malachi. That's where, divorce. And I was thinking, man, well, I hate divorce too. I understand that. And I started thinking about all that means, but I see, because deuce is number 2. Okay? Yeah, 2, it says God saying in the book of Malachi through the prophet, I hate divorce. Divorce is the 2, separated into each one. No, they were 2. I mean, no, they were 1 and 2. See? The deuce is 2 together. Okay? And even in everything like we know, but binary language, which is the actual basic, fundamental, foundational language for everything that's computer, it's either on or it's off. That's two, on or off. If you're two, you're on. If you're one, you're off. Okay? But it's actually 0 and 1. I mean, but it's still 1 and 2. It's the same thing. All right. It's just whether or not you're going to count to 0. I mean, you know, you got 1, 2, 3, or you can say 0, 1, 2, 3. You know, depending on how you look at it. And you see, this is like the kind of like I was thinking in conjunction with this, you know, a parallel process that has to be reckoned with. I mean, because things are not just always as they appear. You know, all of a sudden you got another thing to consider out of the thing that you thought you had figured out, and then all of a sudden, well, I guess I didn't have it figured all out. Something else there I got to figure into the equation that I didn't figure out before. Okay, like in mathematics, look, you can have all your logical algebraic equations all the way from one point all the way on. It can all be correct, but you know what? If it's based on a wrong premise, it don't matter. Okay. You can have everything all figured out, but if it's based on a wrong premise, it don't matter. It might make sense, but it don't matter. Now, I've said before that my dad was more analytical and stuff like that, and I get that from him, you know. I mean, you know, and plus our gender, of course, is the same, so we're gonna have a little bit kind of similarity according to gender, and the traits of gender as differentiated from the traits. I mean, the traits of gender, dividing them into man and woman. Okay, so I'm a man, so I might have more traits that are more typical of kind of like male behavior or something like that. And these things get wishy-washy, you know. There's always the yin and the yang, all that kind of stuff. But, you know, overall, that's why you got to always look at the forest and the trees. You can get lost in the trees, all right? You can get lost in your own life. But you got to try to look at things from a bigger kind of perspective. You got to see the forest. That's what they call see the forest for the trees. See, you can get lost in the trees, but you got to be able to step back and look at history and look at your whole life in general and look at what nature teaches you about life. And what everything else, you know, our history, you know, teaches us, you know, what other people thought, kind of sense other people made, you know, precept upon precept, line upon line, here a little, there a little, like that. And so, you know, I mean, here, a little more. Well, look, I learned a lot from nature. Boomer quit moving by the time I got it over there, but he's acting all crazy. And look, you know, I learned a lot from my dogs. This is basic nature. I mean, look, I'm on my second day of my fast. You know, like I'm almost done with it, and I ain't even paying it no mind because, for one thing, you know, I already went days without food just because I couldn't afford any food. It's not like a few days ain't, you know, no big of a deal for me. But, you know, when it gets down to be about a week or so, I'm starting to feel a little bit hungry. And I know what it's going to be like when I get more hungry. I mean, look, that jar right here, see? I could eat one of my dehydrated bananas. I could eat one. What's one little dehydrated banana going to do? I ain't gonna do nothing. But the thing is, I don't want it. Like I kind of like already triggered my mind. Like I'm going for something. You know, I'm going for something. I've seen something I didn't like. I ain't having it. I mean, I don't know. It's a reflex. It don't eat that bananas don't even appeal to me. I gave my dogs eggs today that I had hard boiled, you know, from the chickens. And I didn't want them to go to waste. And I was thinking, well, I ain't gonna eat them, and I ain't gonna add them to nothing. I didn't know really what to do with them. I mean, like, if I wasn't on a fast, I might have did something between me and my dogs. I just gave them all to my dogs. Give them each one, had one extra. You know? Anyways, like that. I mean, like, I don't even pay it no mind. I know from experience that, you know, a little bit later, like in my fast, like I might get a little bit dizzy and stuff because my body, like I've already been through like hunger pains and all that stuff already, even, you know, but it's just like I'm so, like my mind kind of like if there are gears, you know, they turn like that and they locked in position and then ain't nothing else coming in, and I already kind of got that. I wish I could have the same thing for my guitar. See? Hey, look. See? No. Hey, here. I can't pick it up because the strap is caught around the bottom because I haven't been using it enough. And I already know that my guitar is kind of like my lifeline if I want to have any future. I mean, that's what I think. I'm just saying. I better get on the ball. But anyway, I just want to go back to the idea in Malachi, you know, God hates divorce. And that's because that, you know, divorce is like when your mom and your dad come together and they make you and then they split up. Well, God don't like that because, see, what that says is that it demonstrates a lack of commitment and what we can know and what we can ascertain about the Most High, the Exalted One, Jesus Christ, and God Almighty, and whoever Buddha worshipped and whoever whatever else is out there. It all points to one thing, and where the buck stops is always, okay, love. Yeah, love is right there in the V of those two. Right there, right down the middle, right there, see? That's the Valley of Love. You know what? I'm gonna call this the Valley of Love. I'm gonna name this talk here the Valley of Love. Behold the Valley of Love, because that's what it is. It's a sort of like when you have a commitment to another person, you have covenant. See, it's for life. It's like some things you can give your life for. All right, like I talked in my last talk about, like in some occasion I might fight to the death, but in another occasion I don't have a problem giving my life for a cause or for somebody else. And when you're in a relationship, see that valley of love right there, that valley of love. Look, it could be an L. I didn't notice that. See, it could be an L. Love. That valley of love runs deep. And it should not be abandoned. If you abandon that valley of love, you give up on life. Life and love, they both start with L. I don't know if that means anything. I just thought about it just now. Kind of a synchronicity. Right? Well, a lot of things. If you let it speak to you, if you actually will believe that life and love actually has something to do with each other, and it's kind of an interesting coincidence that they both start with L, well, that could be a big deal if it is for me. It's a synchronicity. I don't care what anybody says. For me, it is. I ain't trying to prove this to nobody. I know I'm not gonna do a dissertation on the combination of the two words that both start with the letter L. I ain't doing all that. It's like I ain't gonna try to defend the fact that I used to have my teddy bear and he's like go flying. And my mom, you know, sewed his arm back on. I ain't gonna try to defend that. Are you kidding me? Like, geez. No. Hey, you're too shallow. You can't understand what that means. That means a lot. Right? It's like kind of a language that runs through history. And it'll grab you, and it'll grab me, and it'll grab my mom, grab my dad. It grabbed Malachi. Malachi said that God said that God don't like divorce. He hates divorce. He hates when you lose the love and the commitment. You can't have love if you're not willing to die. No. Otherwise, it's not love. It's some cheap knockoff of love. It's just like they gold-plated plastic instead of gold. You know. Well, this one here about the Valley of Love, the Valley of Love, you know, last book in the Old Testament, Malachi. I hate divorce, God says. And, you know, it happens. It happens in our lives, man. Sometimes people just can't live together no more. Crap happens. Well, it's just a general idea. Sometimes you're in the forest. You know, God's talking. Sometimes you're a tree in a forest with a whole lot of other trees. God's talking to the whole forest, so to speak. You know, like maybe project out to what I think kind of God is out there, like talking back. It's a projection. You know, well, it's a projection. It's our projection. Kind of, we got a good clue. And they've been talking about this kind of stuff for a long time, all the way from Malachi, which is around the same time of Buddha, when according to the, I don't know, however they carbon date stuff and everything like that. Well, plus they just know it's constant history, constant writing, referrals and stuff like that. You know, you always got referrals. You know, somebody refers you for a job or something, you get a referral. And stuff comes with a lot of referrals. It ain't just bullshit. God hates divorce. There's a valley of love. Don't want to make an abomination out of that. You want to keep that. That's what the deal is. That's what our lesson is. That's what we got to learn. Behold, the valley of love. All right.